Waiting for Light. It's a series all about adventures through the most beautiful locations Scandinavia has to offer, on a quest to find the perfect compositions for landscape photography. In this episode, I go back up to Jotunheimen in search of even bigger mountains. The biggest mountains Scandinavia has to offer, to be specific. When the location is found, all that is left is waiting for the light. This adventure starts just as I've parked my car and started to hike towards the location. What I'm looking for today is that which is down here. My plan is to follow this valley quite a bit down, and then hopefully it clears up a little bit and I'm gonna be able to get that mountain in the background there visible. One observation is that there is actually quite a lot of snow still laying on the landscape. A lot more than I thought it would be, and more than I'd hoped. It might actually be distracting for what I had in mind. But I'm gonna have to try to work around it. I've gone as far down the valley as I had intended to go, but it isn't really looking that good. But I saw another composition a bit further up, so I'm actually going to backtrack a little bit and shoot up the valley instead, because I had some really nice waterfalls and some nicer mountains in the background. So that is really what I think is gonna work best for tonight. A bit further up, but the framing becomes completely wrong. The elements doesn't really line up, but I did find a place to pitch the tent, so I'm gonna do that, and then I'm just gonna hike back down. It's right down there when it's time to photograph the scene. So then I can just go back to the tent after that. I think that's gonna work well. The time has come for landscape photography. It's around 9 o'clock, a little bit after perhaps. So still a couple of hours until the sun sets. But we have such high peaks where the sun is setting, so I won't get anything in that direction, and the scene that I'm shooting is not in that direction anyway. I'm at the location from where the composition looks best, and the reason, or the thing being, is balancing the three things that are important to the scene. Those are the two waterfalls and the mountains, or the mountain really, this one. Well, we're having the last light of the sunlight happening behind me. What I'm looking for is actually for the sunlight to only hit the big mountain, just to really emphasize the grandness of the mountain. We're getting the last of the sun rays hitting the mountain now, and it really is as I hoped it would be. Light only on the mountain and nowhere else in the landscape. And then I'm gonna bring up the waterfalls, bring up the brightness of those, and have those really act as a leading element through the frame. It's gonna be awesome. Since there aren't any clouds, there isn't really any reason to wait around for anything, so I can jump into bed early, but I have to go up even earlier still. Sunrise 3:40, so 20 minutes to 4, which means I have to be up at 3. I haven't really found a composition yet, but I have some thoughts. I just had to scout a little bit before I went to bed, and behind me here I have a big waterfall, could be interesting, and the peaks down here looks very promising. Those are the peaks that I thought to photograph to begin with, going down this valley. So going a little bit further to south here, I could be able to frame those in a nice way, and if I'm there early I could get some nice alpenglow on them, and after that try to frame something with the waterfall and see what we get. But now that I've done my chores, I can confidently go to bed and be happy with myself. Good morning. It's kind of cold, so I kind of had to snuggle myself in. But I decided upon two compositions. First one is the mountain down here, the big one. I'm gonna use a telephoto lens, zoom in on it, and try to capture some alpenglow on it now during the early morning. And when I've gotten one image I'm satisfied with there. I'm gonna go down this waterfall. I found a rock where I could get out basically into the middle of the waterfall. So I'm going to be surrounded by the waterfall, and it's going to be really pretty having the waterfall lead into the valley itself. Yeah, so that's basically the idea for this morning. The composition that I framed up of the mountain is very simple. It's basically just a portrait of the mountain, zooming in as much as possible by still getting the whole ridge and a little bit of another ridge that is kind of in front of it, and kind of framing it in a somewhat nice way. But we're getting the first rays of light coming now, and I'm thinking when the light is shining basically across the whole top of the ridge, that's when I'm satisfied. When that's done, I'm gonna quickly change lenses and go down and frame up a wide angle scene of this whole valley. Well, this didn't really go as planned. The tripod got all nasty with me. I accidentally screw off this one, and then it wouldn't go back on. I thought I lost a piece or something, but eventually I finally managed to fix it. But yeah, most of the light is gone. I did manage to get one photo, but it wasn't like the optimal composition. I think I'm gonna try to shoot a few compositions now, even though the best light is faded, just to get something. Good second morning. I went to sleep again after sunrise shoot. Just because, 3 hours sleep isn't enough. And now I don't really want to go out of the tent. It's so warm and cozy in here now. It was so cold this morning. Oh, and it's so nice and warm in here now. I can feel the wind starting to kick up a little bit, and behind me to the south looks like coming in quite a bit of clouds. And that's really the negative thing about today. A front of rain is going to come in, and that rain is going to last until Wednesday, which is, meaning tonight and the next day. And that is not a pleasurable experience, being in the mountains when it's raining. All morning stuff is completed now, and it's time to get the backpack on and start hiking again. We're going back up towards the parking lot. That way I won't be miserable if it starts to rain later. I'm really out here to enjoy myself, not to prove something to anyone or anything like that. And so we meet the journey's end once again. This adventure turned out shorter than I had expected, but staying out in the mountains at 4 degrees Celsius in the rain was not something that I wished for. The lure of a warm house and a loving family won the battle in the end, and I decided to head home. Until my next adventure, I hope you will have many fine adventures of your own, and I will see you all soon again.